Zelensky or Andriy or Arestovich would like to proclaim there are no Nazis in Ukraine. Is that because they're all here? Because you have a lot of Nazi supporters here. Where's here? America's. I'm not having your shit today. I'm not dealing with your fucking bullshit. Somebody in the Western to write a whole monologue that there are no Nazis in Ukraine, and their justification or their logic was because Hitler's dead, there's no Third Reich, and blah blah blah. Okay, you win. There's no Nazis in Ukraine, there's no Nazis anywhere. Alright? They're neo-Nazis. You win on a technicality. There's no Nazis in Ukraine. Now, all of this shit is beside the point. When I hear this story, here's what I hear from the brainwashed Westerners, the pro-Ukrainian side, there's a term for them, NAFO bots. What they say is that, oh, well, Russia has Nazis, or Ukraine has Nazis, or the Baltic states have Nazis, or there's Nazis in, there's Nazis everywhere. There's Nazis in, Germany, Deutschland. Oh, really? Yeah, I'm fucked up. I lost something today, big time. But I'm not gonna drown in my sorrow. I shouldn't have done that. There are Nazis everywhere. I would assume that every country has at least one. Alright? Even Russia. Even though they have the most stringent laws and regulations against Nazism, you can't even own a copy of Mein Kampf. That's Hitler's book. That's a jailable offense, by the way. Owning Nazi literature is a jailable offense in Russia. So they're very strict against Nazism there. So this nonsense that Putin is Putler, the new Hitler, is a distraction. This is their whole strategy. And that their whole strategy by itself is fascist. You can call yourself whatever you want to, just like that guy who was, with the Russian allegiance or Russian resistance or whatever, who this guy, escaped or fled, left Russia to go join the Ukrainian Nazis, the Azov Battalion. I don't know what they're called. The Russian Legion of Defense or whatever the fuck they are. They're pro-Ukrainian they're terrorists. He says, you can call me you can call me Nazi, you can call me pedophile, you can call me whatever you like. That's what. Again, I'm going through a hard time today. I'm not dealing with any of your bullshit. Things are clearly in perspective for me. Alright? What Ukraine... God fucking damn it. Sorry. There's stupid ass notifications and I'm trying to... I keep getting interrupted. The point is... I'm sorry for wasting your time. The point is that what Ukraine is doing now is equal or greater than Nazi. They're completely fascist. They have, first of all, back in 2014. You remember the Maidan coup, the Maidan massacre, burning down the trade unions building with 40, 50 people alive in it? Well, Ukraine elected neo-Nazis to the Rada, which is their parliament. And once elected, these neo-Nazis, such as Andrei Paraby and Mr. Beletsky, and Kolomoisky, I think, was made the governor of, was it Dnipro or Zaporozhye? One of the two. Anyways, these Nazis, once elected, not selected, once elected to the Rada, they made changes to the Constitution and the law. So basically, here's a fun one. And if you, lawyers are going to have, I know there's a guy on YouTube who does lawyer stuff, and man, just look into Ukrainian law and you will see like how ridiculous, nonsensical, and how these things cancel each other out and contradict each other. And they write these laws that basically incriminate themselves. Anyways, the Poroshenko regime or administration, if you want to be nice and try to be neutral, the Poroshenko administration gave immunity to those terrorists who shot the Maidan protesters in Odessa. That's a law. And not only is it a law that their amnesty, that they made it illegal. All right? They made it illegal to investigate them. So, and it's that vague. It's really, you can literally read it and it's that vague. So, it doesn't say like it's illegal for like a police or prosecutor or defense attorney, whatever the fuck, judge to prosecute them. They said it's illegal to investigate them. So if I, right, me, this American vegan here in New Orleans, if I decide to go look on Google to investigate who did the Maidan coup, well, I'm breaking a Ukrainian law. A jailable offense for researching, for looking into this. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. This stuff just keeps going and going and going. Lawyers are gonna the YouTube lawyers, like, Ukraine law is the most ridiculous law. There's this thing about the most ridiculous laws in America. There's in certain states, like I guess like Idaho or whatever, it's like it's illegal to like have sex with your goat on a Sunday or something like that. We hear about this stuff, all the time. We hear about the weird laws, pertaining to, sodomy. There's a bunch of them, in Republican states, that you cannot, have that kind of stuff. You can't do that kind of thing. And these are way old and outdated. And here's the funny thing about Ukraine law. It's like, they're all new. These are not old, outdated, dumbass laws like from way back in the racist, closed-minded days. No, these are new laws. We have decided we're going to ban the Russian language from all official business. So you cannot write Privyet or Здравствуйте like on your. There is no Privyet. It's Привет. Like you have to everything is remixed. They have to remix everything, and like I said, there's no Nazis in Ukraine, but they fucking act like Nazis. They fucking act like it. And I believe there are Nazis in Ukraine. Well, at least neo-Nazis, but that's beside the point. They act like fascists every step along the way. Every step along the way. Oh, we're going to ban the Russian language. Okay, well, the Russian language is banned. Oh, now we're going to criminalize it. What? Hold on. You just said we banned it, which means we can't use it on our official paperwork. We can't teach it in the schools. Now you're going to criminalize it. So if somebody tries to teach it in school, that the teacher goes to jail. That's fucking... That's worse than Nazi. We see this from Ukraine every step along the way. And there's recent revelations too, like pertaining to the media machine and, how Ukraine likes to portray, you cannot call this a crisis. You have to call it a war. And you can't call it Putin's war. You have to call it Russia's war. Why? Because all Russians are equally, guilty and responsible. This is straight up the most racist thing in the world. And I swear to God, if you support Ukraine, God bless your heart, man. Like, you're being taken. Do you love Ukrainians? Do you love them? I do. I grew up with them. I love them. I don't want them. I don't want a single Ukrainian to die. Not even Zelensky. You get it? If you love Ukrainians, you're not going to send them missiles to prolong a war that is going... Look, this is insanity. This is insanity. You cannot give Ukraine weapons to defend themselves. You can only give Ukraine weapons to kill and cause more destruction. So you have a giant that's this big, and you have a little guy this big who could just be stomped and crushed like that, except for they're being propped up by the United States. You people don't understand this shit. You people do not understand it. I understand it. I have not been following this for a year and a half since, I've been following this. I have had relatives who have suffered, I know one person specifically who has died in 2018. I've been following this for a long time. There's people, they're lying to you. They're lying to you. I'm sorry. I really need to get off the phone, But this is what I've been saying. There are people that I know, friends and whatnot, who have supported Ukraine and blue and yellow flag, and then they stopped. They're like, oh, I'm done with that. Because they've learned the truth. But there's no one on the face of the planet who has said, I'm pro-Russia, and oh, wow, I just learned this. I'm going to support Ukraine now. Hey, Slava Ukraine. No, it does not happen. It's always the other way around. I apologize. This is hard for me to I'm trying to put myself in your position and understand that you're being brainwashed by this massive media campaign and articulate it to you to a point where that you can understand. And you can understand that in a nutshell, that Ukrainians are being used to sell weapons. Does that make any sense? You can work reverse from this, but let me tell you the truth. Here's what's going on. And this is bipartisan. This is not just Republican or Democrat. First, the Democrats. They scream bloody murder. Oh my God, Putin, he's going to take over Ukraine. He's not going to stop. He's going to keep taking over all of the rest of Europe and conquer the world. And therefore, we must arm Ukraine with deadly weapons or lethal weapons to fight Russia over there so we don't have to fight them over here. So that's the narrative from the Democrats. He's the new Hitler. He's gonna take over the world. We must arm the Ukrainians to fight the Russians over there so we don't have to fight them over here. And so what do? We get them under that guise, of fighting the Russians over there so we don't have to fight them here. We give them all of our handy-down weapons, our old-school tanks are obsolete, this and that, or whatever, our slightly used, rockets and tanks and whatnot. And then the Republicans come running in, going, whoa, 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 whoa. Can you believe what the Democrats did? They just gave all our weapons away. America's not safe. China could attack us at any second. We've got to double the defense budget. We got to do it. We got to double our defense budget. We need new tanks. We need new rockets, and that's what happens. And the Democrats go, well, I guess you're right, and they sign off on it, and they say, here you go. They double the defense budget, and the Pentagon is happy, and they get brand new shiny new tanks and drones and jets and this and that, and it's all paid for by you. You paid for it. You didn't agree to this, but you paid. Well, you kind of did, because this is how a democratic republic works. We don't live in a democracy. A democracy is dangerous. If we lived in a democracy where 51% of the public could decide things, then America would be broke tomorrow. People would say, hey, yeah, let's give us all Lamborghinis and mansions, and then we'd be broke tomorrow and the whole thing would collapse. That's why true democracy sucks. We have a democratic republic. Basically, we elect people to go make these important decisions, but the problem is these people are frauds. Do you understand that? They're frauds. You got Lindsey Graham. You got, Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer. These people are frauds. They're frauds, okay? Joe Manchin, they're frauds. AOC is a fraud. And that was really a tough pill for me to swallow. But, even Bernie Sanders, fraud. Bernie Sanders is kind of the number one fraud, in fact, because he's, stealth fraud. That, there was a recent, budget vote and this and that, and they had enough votes. And then what did Bernie Sanders do? That he came out and grandstanded and he said, I'm against this thing and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, exactly what happened. They basically said, the Democrats said, hey, Bernie, we've got enough votes to pass this. You can go out there and grandstand now and tell people you oppose this. And he went out and said, I oppose this bill and blah, 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 blah. We must fight the thing and the Trumpism and blah, shut the fuck up, It's a scam. And it's a really tough pill to swallow as somebody who, pushed for Bernie really hard and campaigned and donated and did the things that I did. And I did things for Bernie, I phone banked for Bernie Sanders. Had I known what I know today, no. I would have campaigned for, I don't know, fucking whoever, Who's that guy? David Duke. I would have campaigned for David Duke over Bernie Sanders had I known what he's doing today, It's really, I don't even want to talk about that. When I think about that, it's depressing. But the point is this, that every step along the way, it doesn't matter whether or not there's Nazis in Ukraine. You can call them whatever you want. You can say that there's Nazis here in America, or there's Nazis where in Russia. Well, I got news for you. The Nazis here in America don't have tanks, machine guns, grenades, and drones. They're not bombing. They're not bombing the Skid Row. They're not ethnic cleansing, MLK Boulevard in Portland, Oregon. They're not, they're not crazy psychopathic, murderers. They probably would like to think there's probably a lot of white supremacists in America who would like to think that they're Nazis and claim Nazism. And same thing in Russia. There's probably a bunch of skinheads over there going, I don't know, Привет, Heil Hitler, whatever. But the ones in Ukraine are killing people. Like, that's a moot statement to say that, oh, well, everywhere has Nazis. Oh, really? Like, because here in Florida, for the last 8 years, Nazis have not been launching rockets at people's apartment buildings and bombing them. Does that make any sense? So, the number of Nazis is not important, And this is the thing we hear, the biggest lie is there's no Nazis in Ukraine, because there's Nazis everywhere. Ukraine, Chicago, Mumbai, Tokyo, there's Nazis everywhere. What matters is not the amount of Nazis. It's the Nazi influence, the level of influence in what people are doing. Does that make any sense? It doesn't matter whether 20% of Ukraine are Nazis, or 10%, or 5%, or 1%, or 0.5%. It doesn't matter. The fact of the matter is they elected Nazis to the Rada, to their parliament. They elected Nazis. The people. They said, hey, let's elect these Nazis. Hey, you're elected. You're a Nazi. You're elected. And these Nazis, like, the first thing they did is give amnesty to themselves. They said, you cannot prosecute the Azov battalion, the Adar battalion, the Kraken battalion, the Dnipro battalion, the Kraken, the right sector, the Svoboda, the Privyet battalion. Here, that's the one I just made up. Come and join the Privyet battalion. Come on, everybody. Slava Ukraina. Come join the Privyet battalion. Yes, we're not racists. We're nationalists. We're here protecting our culture from the invasion of this species of Ruskies who seek to pollute our gene pool and destroy their white race. Really? What's funny is that, like, people on the internet like to argue with me, but I say something, when I reply back to them, I don't ever hear from them. In real life, it's the same thing. They'll say, what? Because I'm unapologetically pro-Russian. Like I fly Russian flags. Like, I'm like one of the only people, I'm actually the only one in my city that does this. I've heard that there's like a guy in Florida that does it. I've heard that there's a guy like in California, and there's one in Nevada. I'm not saying like I got balls to steal. I'm just saying you're a pussy. Like, look, this is my house, all right? I'm flying Italy, Russia, America, Russia, Palestine, all right? And I do this on a daily basis right out here on a busy street. This is this is not an interstate or whatever, but this is a trendy street, kind of like a warehouse artsy type of district or whatever. And I do what I do unapologetically. And, there's a difference between right and wrong. You understand? I understand that there's a bunch of brainwashed people out there who support Ukrainian Nazis. And they think Putin is evil. They think Russia launched an unprovoked invasion. The least that I can do is what I'm doing. But there's people out there who they live in fear of being canceled or being, whatever. I've had customers. I run a couple businesses too. I've had a couple customers, walk out and they say, "Oh, well, I can't support, a pro-Russian business," is what they said. And I said, "Great. I mean, I don't want to serve. I don't want to serve you. I don't want to help. Like, you're missing out. Like, you're coming to me. They think like, oh, I don't want to spend my money on you. Oh, you don't want to buy the things that you need because I'm pro-Russian. Really? Bravo. That sounds like Europe and not buying gas. Like, oh, okay. We're not going to buy the gas from Russia that we need so we can be prosperous. Oh, bravo. So I say, good for you. Leave. Again, I'm unapologetically pro-Russian. Now, if you want to question me, if you come up to me and say, like, hey, and it has happened, what's up with the Russian flag, or whatever, I will stare. I will take however long it takes. I will sit there if I have the time. I will take an hour. I will take 3 hours. I'll take 5 hours to explain. I will show you the information that I have, that I've collected. That I will explain to you, the information that your information that's wrong, how you've been brainwashed, and again, like I said earlier, no one has went from being pro-Russian to Ukrainian. Nobody woke up and said, "Oh, Slava Ukraini, I'm done supporting Russia." No, it's the other way around. People, when you do the research and you search into things, you will find that, God damn it, you will find the inconvenient truth, which is that Ukraine is a terrorist state and America is her sponsor. And there's a thing about accusing the enemy of, your own crimes. There's some proverb about that, but that's not important. But that's basically what's going on for the time being. So, I mean, and when I tell you I've done research, I mean, I've done extensive research. Like, and you can see the dates on this. I've been doing this for years. Look at this stuff. These are all links that go back to 2000, Azov, Adar, Right Sector, Sect 82, Sheikh Mansour, Sikh Voboda, Tornado. This one right here. Where are they? Tornado. If you can get anything out of this video, whether you agree with what I say, whether you kind of sort of get it, or whether you totally get what I say, or go Google Tornado Battalion Rape. Tornado Battalion Rape. If you dig deep enough, it will open your mind. You will understand things. That's the beginning of the rabbit hole. Tornado Battalion Rape. You will see things, articles from 2014, 2015, and these narratives are being rehashed in present day that they're accusing Russia of. You get it? Let me explain to you how the Ukrainian propaganda machine works. Ukraine commits a terrorist attack with impunity because the United States will not charge them. They can do anything. They can blow up a dam. They can blow up a pipeline. They can blow up a bridge. They can do anything they want. They can blow up a girl in a car bomb, and they can blow up a cafe in St. Petersburg. Boom. It happens. Russia says, look what these assholes did. They're fucking terrorists, which is exactly what they are. Now, normally, when these things happen, the Western media ignores them. Ukrainian media ignores them. They go, oh, okay. They commit these terrorist attacks, these false flags, and they ignore them. They just go, But when Russia reports on them, or India or China or, Belarus or, wherever in the world, once it starts to make a buzz and go viral, I guess you'd call it that, Ukraine, with the help of the Western media, floods the internet and drowns out those original claims by Russia. And they say, Russia did it. Can you believe how? And there's, 1, 2, 3, or 4 or 5 articles from Russia saying Ukraine did this bad thing. And they're usually in like African media, Middle Eastern media, Indian, Chinese, or, who's the other guys, in the South America? Starts with an E, but whatever. I'll get back to it later. El Salvador. You'll find it in that media. When Russia accuses Ukraine of these things, Ukraine will commit a terrorist attack, and they'll hope that nobody sees it. They blast it all over, RT or whatever they want to blast it over. As soon as it becomes a thing, Ukraine media and the U.S. media drowned it out with the same exact accusation against Russia. And I challenge you right now to test this. Understand what I'm saying? Russia accuses Ukraine of shelling an apartment building or whatever it was. Or let's just say, what was it called? I can't remember. Where's that city that they keep claiming that Russia blew up? It was, did it start with a D? I'm looking it up right now. Bucha. All right. This is not a smoking gun, by the way. This is not a smoking gun. But after the Russian troops left Bucha, they were the first to accuse Ukraine. They said Ukraine did some bad things. They killed a bunch of people and threw them in this bottomless pit, or whatever. Not bottomless, but mass grave. They didn't tag the graves. They didn't mark the graves, blah, 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 blah. What did Ukraine do? Russia committed genocide in Bucha. They killed a bunch of people for no reason, civilians, blah, 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 blah. So, I challenge you. Go find an earlier date. I know, challenging. This is... You're not gonna... Damn it. Fucking, why do Americans have to be so stupid? Let me show you something real quick. Let me show you how to do something, okay? All right, here we are. Watch this. Ukraine. Hello. Oh, there it goes. Let me show you this shit. Shut up. You can just shut the fuck up. That's what you can do. Ukraine battalion Nazi rape. Now watch this. The first 100 things you see are going to be pro-Western, this and that. Whoops. Come on. The first 100 results that you see are going to be... Look. Actually, look at that. There's some... Hey, look at this. There might be light at the... Here we go. Vox Ukraine. This is a website that claims that they're debunking things. Fake. A photo girl branded with a swastika. Okay. Want to see this? This is disgusting, by the way, if they show it. They're going to lie and say these are people that think they're a fact checker, right? Just like there's a website called Stop Fake. They are liars as well. So here, this really happened. These people at Vox Ukraine, their whole purpose is to try to convince you that this did not happen. Same thing with the people at Stop Fake. Stop Fake is the worst. The worst. They're not a fact-checking website. They're a lying propagandist. All right? They're scumbags. They're covering for neo-Nazis. They're covering for murderers. They're covering for sick, racist murderers who are right up there with Hitler. They're the most... Ugh. And look at this. Remember this. Vox Ukraine. Liars, scumbags, Nazis. All right? And you might be thinking, well, how could this be? Like, I mean, that's like a legitimate website. What do you think $8 billion will do? The United States has given $8 billion to Nazis in Ukraine. Do you know what they've done with that money? They've launched a complete terror campaign and a disinformation campaign on the internet. They have literally brainwashed Americans. You should be pissed off about this, that they're lying to you. You shouldn't be in denial. You shouldn't be going, no, this is not true. Putin is so bad. This is blah, 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 blah. Unprovoked invasion. Ukraine sovereignty. No, you should be mad that they're lying to you. You shouldn't believe in the lie. Just because you're wrong now doesn't mean you have to continue to be wrong. It's just going to make things worse. Like, this is a problem with human nature. You take a side. All right? Whoa, I'm on this side. And then, like, hey, your side committed rape. Oh, no, they committed rape. No. Well, what they meant to do was that they were consensual, and it wasn't really rape because the other person said that, like, hey, I would like to, have intercourse with you sometime in the future. And the other person agreed. And then just because they didn't agree on this date doesn't really mean it constitutes as rape and blah, 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 blah. No. That's what the Ukrainian side does. It's so stressful. They're like, how can you? I really can't. I don't have much more in me, people. I don't have much more in me. Like, all right. So here is. This is a United Nations program here, by the way. It's the Office of the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights, also known as the OHCHR. So I'm looking that up on this computer. Now let me go right back over here and show you, like, what I have. You see this? This is, you see these results here? All right, this is FIDH. This is the civilians caught in the crossfire. I'm sorry. I'm trying to look for the. I'm sorry. I apologize. This is okay. This is the International Federation for Human Rights. But I think it's part of the UN. Let me see. Well, maybe they weren't, but I think they've been absorbed into the Ukraine, to the UN now. Come on, let's go. About. Okay, let's go history. Okay, so this is actually the Center for Civil Liberties. Back in my files, we call this the FIDH.org. I'm not going to go deep into this rabbit hole right now, but look. Amnesty, Human Rights Watch, look at these United Nations links. United Nations, they just keep going. And there's more, and there's corruption. You see this stuff here? This is just one page of this, like I have this list here, and this is, what I'm trying to tell you here, and you can see this stuff, you see the gray zone and, whatnot, but I also have things from the Atlantic Council. This is Western stuff here. Look at this. This is home.treasury.gov. Let's see if it's still there, because they've been removing this stuff like, United States sanctions human rights abusers and corrupt actors across the globe. Holy shit, they changed it. It used to say in Ukraine. Wow. They updated this. They updated this without even... Wow. Here's proof right here. This is proof right here, these fucking liars. They updated this without even... Okay. I know there's a way to... Okay, let's try to find the cached page on this. All right, let's see if I can do it. Cache page. Okay, let's do this. They just totally lied there. Okay, let's see. Cache page. Because I had this... All right, let's see. This isn't surprising to me, because I've been watching these links disappear. I've been watching them change. And... across the globe. And you come back. See Trump. Did they change it? Well, I guess I'm a conspiracy theorist now, along with Alex Jones. But they've been changing these things. The point is this. All right. Sudan, even Bloomberg. Look at this. Even Bloomberg. China and Russia's lies are winning over the global south. Have you heard that the U.S. created COVID? AIDS is a bioweapon. Ukrainian leaders are Nazis. Unfortunately, Moscow and Beijing are having success spreading such disinformation. This is one that you should read this, because this here is just the epitome of propaganda right here. What the U.S. officials once called the... shit. You gotta log in. Okay. You can get around this with a pop-in blocker, but this is the epitome of propaganda. The point is, like, only... there was a point where I said, hey, look, if you support Ukraine, I can't be your friend. I said that. And now I'm walking that back, because I understand. I've come to the realization. I've come to the realization that not all Ukrainian supporters are Nazi supporters or Nazi sympathizers. In fact, the majority of them aren't. I've come to the conclusion that they're just stupid. And if they're stupid, that's fine. Like, you're not evil for being stupid. And this is where I, not where I draw the line, but this is like my litmus test. I ask people, like, okay, so you believe that killing civilians is wrong, right? You believe that scalping them is wrong, and torturing them and shelling them is wrong, and this and that and whatnot. And they say yes. And I say, well, great. We have something in common then, because I also am against evil. I also am against genocide, racism, hate, and whatnot. The difference between you and me is not much. All right? The difference between me and you Ukraine supporters is very small. The difference is that I don't think that Russia has done this stuff. On top of that, I think it's Ukraine that did it. How do you like them apples? And people go, oh, well, it can't be Ukraine, Putin, like, okay, hold on a second. Do you know who you're talking to? You've seen the stuff that I just showed you on my computer, right? How well versed are you in this situation? How long have you been following this? Who are you to tell me that I'm wrong? And here's another thing. What difference does it make if I'm wrong? How does that change the outcome of anything? Like I said, I've had maybe 2 people try to not shop in my business because I supported Russia. Ooh, wow. Okay. What difference does it make whether I support Russia or Ukraine? Or what difference does it make that you support Russia or Ukraine? How does that change anything? How does it change anything? It doesn't change anything at all. It doesn't change anything at all. And that's why, you know, again, I'll say this. People who support Ukraine are either A, dumb fucking asses. Dumb fucking asses. Wow. Who's a dumbass now? They're either stupid or they're evil. And me being the optimist that I am, I would like to think that most of them are stupid, not evil. And in reality, that ratio is 10-1. Or is it 9-1? Whatever. 10%. 10% evil, 90% stupid. At least that's what I'd like to think. That's what I tell myself, because I can't live in a world full of evil people around me who support Nazis. And I don't even know how to explain this I'm trying to explain this, but I'm getting tired of it now. I shouldn't even be trying to explain this to people like you. You're supposed to, negotiate with people on your level, or converse with people on your level. And the average public is 12 steps down there. Have you seen that debate with Destiny and who's that guy? Dude, he needs to be freed. Gonzola Lima. Let me go find out. Battery dead. Gonzola Lira. This guy has been kidnapped by Ukrainian Nazis. Oh, I remember what to show you now. Okay, look. Tools. Anytime. You can do this. You can search for news from the past week. Okay. Father of Gonzalo Lira, American, jailed in Ukraine. Look at this shit. See what happens when you search by... Wow. Look at this shit. Father of Gonzalo Lira, America, jailed in Ukraine, speaks out against political imprisonment. Now we've come full circle. It doesn't matter if there's technical Nazis in Ukraine. It doesn't matter if there's NBA players in Ukraine, or if Porsche is in Ukraine, or whether I'm in Ukraine. What matters is how they're acting. And they're acting like Nazis. They're acting worse than Nazis. Zelensky, the stroke of his pen has banned... Look, okay. We know he's banned the Russian language, and we know he's banned the opposition parties. That right there should be done. Right there, just the fact that they banned the opposition parties. Can you imagine if right now Joe Biden, with their stroke of his pen, banned Republicans? Yeah, I'm sure a lot of you would love that. But that's the end of democracy right there. I'm sure a lot of you liberals would love that shit. Oh, hey, look at that. I wouldn't love it. I don't like Republicans or Democrats, but I like how they balance each other out. I like how that neither one of them can totally take hold and go crazy, all the way, full-blown, all in with this shit. But these guys are here to check them, and when they get power, they try to, they can't go all in, full blown, crazy with. I like how we have. I would rather have this, lame, stalemate, like, not getting shit done, rather than getting a bunch of bad shit done. This is the stuff that the opposition party. Oh, we ban. Okay, imagine if you're Republican, all right, or if and they banned the Democratic Party. Would you love that? This is like Samsung and Apple. Like if Apple had a monopoly on multi-touch, then Samsung would have. Dude, right now, if I'm trying to explain this shit to you, like in terms of you understand. An iPhone would be $3,000 right now if there was no competition. You understand? An iPhone would be probably $2,000, $2,500 if Apple succeeded in their lawsuit against Samsung and banned them from using multi-touch. I absolutely despise the Democrats, but we need them. Because why? The fucking Republicans they go nonsense over their stupid, religious nut job fucking bullshit. And we got Lindsey Graham. Lindsey Graham. There. That's all you need to say. That's enough said. We need Democrats because Lindsey Graham. We need Democrats because of Greg Abbott. All right. If all the Republicans were Elon Musk's and Ron Paul's, the world would be great. And if all the Democrats were Cornel West's and Jimmy Dore's, the world would be great. But no. They're run by terrorists. You got terrorists in the right, the Republican Party, terrorists in the left on the Democratic Party, and you people get up here and you defend your side, who are terrorists, because why? Because you think they're not as bad as terrorists as the other guys. No. Let me explain something to you. You're supposed to get up. You shouldn't have terrorists in your party. You should be against that. You should be angry about that. It should be an embarrassment. It's a stain on your ideology and your philosophy. You should not tolerate that. You should stand up and you say, you know what? Joe Manchin, get your fucking ass out of here. AOC, get your ass out of here. Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, get your ass out of here. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, get your ass out of here. You're an embarrassment. Don't defend these lying, fraud, scumbag, thieving, conniving politicians. What the hell is wrong with you? Why do you do that? You hear this stuff like, oh, well, Nancy Pelosi stole this money, or not stole this money, but embezzled, or, tax fraud, stock, blah, blah, blah. Oh, what's the response to that? But Trump, Trump did the... Nobody's talking about Trump. Get these people out of your party. Get these... Stupid, man. Can you imagine? But I digress, all right? I digress. The Republican Party is the party of... what? I don't know. Being conservative. The Liberal Party is the party of changing shit. Whatever. I'm trying to be nice. Without one, the other would completely take over. Can you imagine a completely right-wing world? That terrifies me. I'm terrified of the right wing being in complete control and being like, all right, we're pledge allegiance to the flag. We're every kid in school must, salute the, sing the national anthem in the morning and and we're gonna ban stupid shit like soy burgers, like you're dumb. You're fucking dumb. You know what I mean? Like, if you let the right wing just completely run free, like with their, bullshit, they're gonna be fascists. They're gonna try to ban fucking soy burgers, and veggie burgers. It's stupid. They got screws loose over there. Same thing with the Democrats, with the left. You let these guys run free, they're gonna go crazy on this. This stuff about what a woman is, and like, oh yeah, well, let's let this woman who has a penis go use the restroom over here. I don't really care about that. I don't really care that they compete in sports. What I care about is I'm trying to come up with a way to say this, but without sounding. Actually, I don't give a fuck what anybody thinks. If you let the Democrats take over 100%, they're not going to spread the wealth around and give everybody Medicare for all. They're going to shame people for not being exactly perfect. And that's the problem with the Democrats is if I see a dude with a mustache walking down the street, and maybe he has breasts and I don't see him and he's wearing a skirt, whatever, and I say, hey, what's up, bro? Oh, whoa, you said I'm a woman. Okay, well, I'm sorry. You got a mustache and a fucking skirt on. Sorry. Like, no, I'm not going to apologize for that. And people need to toughen up. Toughen up. Look at me. Look at me. Look at me. I wear fucking nail polish. You don't think I get shit for this? I get shit for that. I got fuck. I come from an era of the 80s where men wore fucking lipstick and nail polish and, Rocky Horror Picture Show, stuff like that. All right? Don't give a damn about that. I believe a human being can wear whatever they want. They can dress whatever way they want to dress. They can wear whatever that they want to wear. Okay? Like my shirt? But you shouldn't let the right go take off with everything. I don't like the system we have, but at least the system balances out so that the extremists on the right wing won't, bring back slavery, and an extremist on the left wing won't give all our money to Nazis in Ukraine. God. And that's exactly what they're doing, unfortunately. So that said, I know I lost track, but it's Zelensky banned the opposition party. It's essentially he banned the Republicans, all right? Or actually, Zelensky's pretty right wing. He banned the Democrats. Zelensky banned the liberals and the Democrats. Can you imagine if Donald Trump was elected in 2024 and decided, by executive order, I'm going to ban the Democrats. You're no more. People would have they have a heyday when one of the same things that Donald Trump did was when the coronavirus thing was happening. He decided he was going to do a travel restriction thing or whatever from people from China. People flipped out and said that's racist. No, that's sane, okay? But again, I'm not a Trump fan or supporter or whatever, but the left is psychotic in this regard. That I almost wish Trump didn't exist because they've made it to the point where the left can't even think straight. It's like, all right, so we're going to put some money into this and invest this. You have choice A, B, or where are you going? Oh, but Trump. No, come back here. You got to choose between A, B, or, yeah, but Trump. That's exactly, they're fucking insane. They don't think straight. The left is the worst that they've ever been. They're not even left anymore. They're scumbags. They're terrorists. You can, rank things however you want about, abortion, this and that, and the issues, but there's people dying thanks to our missiles. Thank you very much. And Zelensky is a piece of shit. He's seriously a piece of shit, and he should have been done. This is what's disappointing to me. This is what disappoints me the most about you people. Like, Zelensky should have been done years ago when he banned.
One moment. I couldn't find that in your music library. You can ask me to play a radio station or ask for your music on a different app.
Are you done, Siri? Okay, thank you. Zelensky should have been done years ago. Ukraine should have. My biggest critique of Russia is that they waited so long. You should have not waited so. Go handle this stuff, but no. Ukraine has banned the Russian language. They've criminalized it. They have essentially. They've banned all opposition parties. And it was just announced a couple weeks ago that there would be no elections. Zelensky has banned elections. Zelensky has banned elections. There's no elections. There's no elections. He's declared himself the automatic president. Is that democracy that you're talking about? Like, do you even know what democracy is? The people who support Ukraine, we're supporting blah, blah, blah. Do you use a brain? Do you have a brain? Do you know what democracy is? There's no elections in Ukraine. Zelensky has declared himself the 2025 when is the presidential election in Ukraine?
Here's what I found.
Apparently it's in 2024. Just those two things, banning the Russian language and banning the opposition parties, should be enough for the West to go, oh no, this is... The Antifa and all of you should be like, hell no! They've banned opposition parties, they've banned languages and words you can use, we're done. That should be the end. But no, it's not the end. It's not the end at all. They keep letting Ukraine just continue down this path of fascism. This insane, ridiculous path of fascism. And to the point where they can just label people as collaborators just because they don't like them. Just because they don't like them. Or, they're worse than Nazis. They're worse than Nazis. And I'll show you what I mean. Now, you've heard of the Azov Battalion, right? Raise your hand if you've heard of the Azov Battalion. Have you heard of the Adar Battalion? Have you heard... Wait, you haven't? Because I have 30 more to list off. Why aren't you raising your hand when I said Adar Battalion? Why do you only know one battalion, and that's the Azov Battalion? Why don't... Close. Why is that? Why don't you know C-14? Why don't you know Patriot of Ukraine? Why don't you know, I don't know, Sheikh Mansour or Tornado? Why don't you know Tornado? Go to that Tornado rabbit hole. You will never come back. You will find that like all the shit that we're accusing Russia of today has been done by this battalion called Tornado. Yeah. It's all fake news. Everything and we lie about the dumbest things. I saw it today on the news that we lied about what did we lie about? It was the dumbest thing in the world. We lied this is the part that, like, if you're trying to run a psyop, like, and be successful, like, stop lying about. God damn it. 1, 2. Sorry, I connected my phone to my computer, and it wanted me to put in a passcode just to charge it. This is the part that, like, just perplexes me. If you're going to run a psyop, if you're going to run a campaign, a psychological campaign, where, like, how are you going to sit there and say unprovoked invasion, unprovoked invasion, unprovoked invasion, unprovoked, over and over and over, to the point where people go, well, why is he saying that? Let me go look into that and see. Oh, it's not provoked. There you go. That's the same nonsense about the let me tell you this, guys. Thank God if you're still watching me, because I've been ranting for over an hour. If you think that there is... Let me start over. Remember the Viagra story? The claims of rape? That Putin was giving soldiers Viagra to go rape, like, I don't know why. That's the most ridiculous thing in the world. Like, how can you overreach that far? How can you overreach that far? You're supposed to be subtle with this stuff, And whatever Ukraine is, they're worse than neo-Nazi. Banning the Russian language in the opposition party is the tip of the iceberg. That's just the little bit. They've done so much far worse. They've made it okay, look, there's these guys from the Kraken Battalion that go around looking for conscripts and recruits, and they're looking for able-bodied men, and they push them and they punch them to see if they're strong enough to, like, stand up. And then they start just fucking with their heads. They start fucking with their heads. They're like, Slava Ukraina. And they're like, yeah. They're like, and then there's videos of this. They give them the Ukrainian flag. They're like, hold it. And they try to tell them to hold it. And if these guys don't, like, show enough spirit, like, if they're not patriotic enough, if they don't believe in their Slava Ukraina, they tape them to a telephone pole. That's right. They pull out tape like this and tape them to a telephone pole and leave them there. And then when other people walk by who believe in their Banderite, Nazi, neo-Nazi, fascist, Stepan Bandera ideology, they'll see them and they'll throw shit at them. Rocks. Sometimes they've thrown... I've never seen it, but I've heard of it. I've seen them throw rocks at them. I've seen them kick them, taped to the pole. Like, I've seen them kick them. I've seen them. But I've heard from Colonel Douglas McGregor that they've poured arsenic in their face and stuff like that. And this is horrible. Like, it's hard for me to digest. Like, I don't even want to believe that Ukraine is not that evil. Even the Ukrainian Nazis. Like, there's Nazis over there. They need to go. I love Ukrainians. Get the Nazis out of there. Get the fuck out of there. And and by the way, there's no possible way that Ukraine is going to win this. All they can do is destroy more of their own land in the process. And you could destroy some of Russia's. Woohoo. What have you achieved? Nothing. You're going to end up in the same exact damn place that you're at now. Which is, you're going to be denazified. Because the world doesn't like Nazis. The world doesn't support Nazis. You're not going to get away with having a neo-Nazi regime. You're not. Even if you miraculously somehow pulled this off now, and that the United States maybe, I don't know, gave you everything that you wanted, and you I don't know, say you nuked Moscow or whatever, some stupid shit or whatever. Slava Ukraine, and now, isn't that your fantasy, right? Ukraine is now Russia, and now you have the biggest country in the world, the biggest nation in the world is called Ukraine, right? How long do you think that's going to last? 2 weeks. Yep, India, China, North Korea, Pakistan, the rest of the world, they're all coming for you. Everybody's coming for you. There's countries out there that have nuclear weapons that you don't even know it yet, like Turkey, South Africa. You don't think South Africa has nuclear weapons? Oh, yeah? What about Saudi Arabia? Do you think Saudi Arabia has nuclear weapons? What planet have you been on if you said no? They're best friends with Russia. Russia has how many? 6,000? That's 5,000. And what nuclear treaty do we have with Russia now? Oh, no nuclear treaties. So basically, Russia can give nuclear weapons to whoever they want. Right now, if you're in the United States military, you need to assume that El Salvador has nuclear weapons right now. If you're planning some epic, NATO battle against Russia or China over Taiwan or in, Kosovo or wherever, you need to assume that South Africa has nuclear weapons, that El Salvador has nuclear weapons. You need to assume that Cuba has nuclear weapons. Because Russia's got enough of them that they can give one to each of their friends. And there is no treaty. There's no nuclear treaty left that guarantees Russia to not transfer such. So, for all we know, Russia has coerced. I'm painting a picture. Let's just be extreme here for a second, all right? For all you know, Russia has seduced 75, 85 nations out of 100 and, how many nations are there?
Here's what I found from Worldometer's info.
Out of 195 nations, let's just say Russia has seduced a quarter of them. So there are 50 nations on the planet. And Russia can seduce a lot more than that, by the way. There's 50 nations out there right now with nuclear weapons pointing directly at Moscow, not at Moscow, but at DC and at London. Those are the first two places they're pointing at. The last place they're going to strike is Ukraine. If Russia launches nuclear weapons, they're going to launch simultaneous nuclear weapons. There's going to be about 20 at the same time, and they're going to hit places like North Carolina. They're going to hit Washington. Let me tell you where they're going to hit. They hit Washington, D.C., North Carolina, Texas, New York, the bases in not Las Vegas, Nevada, California, I hope not the ones in Louisiana, and I hope not the ones in Florida, but yeah, those guys. But basically, if there's a nuclear war, and right now Russia has their warheads aimed directly at Washington. So right now, tomorrow, if we decide, hey, let's go strike St. Petersburg, Russia, for whatever, within 3 minutes of striking them, Washington, D.C. will not exist. And you can assume that China is on board, India is on board, Saudi is on board, Pakistan's on board, and then you have these wild cards such as Turkey and Azerbaijan and who is the others? The point is, I think there's going to be a nuclear war. I hope there's not. And we got 7 more months of Joe Biden to prove us wrong. So, I mean, yeah. So, if you got the money, build your bunker right now. If you got the money, build your bunker. Or get the fuck out of America. The safest place to be is South America. I'm going to be down in Argentina. That's the safest place to be for nuclear fallout. And I've been following experts. This is not my opinion. Experts say that there's a 30% chance of nuclear war. So if there's nuclear war, that's why they stop short. They say, oh, there's a 30% chance of nuclear war. Okay, great. Well, let's all sit here and hope there's not a nuclear war. No. I'm prepping for a nuclear war. If there's a nuclear war, I want to know certain things. Certain things such as where are those nukes going to fly? And I've done the research. From everything that I've looked at, Washington, D.C. is going to be the first place that gets struck. Or actually, it's going to be the second place. If the United States strikes China or Russia, if they strike, was it Beijing? Or is that what it's called? Shanghai is the capital. I don't know. If the United States strikes Shanghai or Beijing or St. Petersburg or, wherever, the second place that gets hit is Washington, D.C. That's what all the math says. That's what all the experts say. And it happens within 3 minutes. So this is what we're dealing with, I'm not afraid of it, I'm not going to be like, oh my God, do you understand the consequences of this? If the United States decides that they're going to strike St. Petersburg, guess what's going to happen? The Russians are going to strike Washington, D.C., man, we got all stuff. No, I'm like, hell yeah, do it. Please do it. Like, let me see the fireworks. Like, that's where I'm at. Like, I see life in a different way than most people do. Not in terms of... anyways, I gotta go. Like, Ukraine is a terrorist state. Zelensky is worse than Nazis. The banning of the opposition party in the Russian language is just the tip of the iceberg. He's made it illegal. I tried to show you some shit over here. I got distracted. Let me show you real quick. And then I'll end this video. Ukraine abuses war crimes by Adar volunteer battalions. So Amnesty International went in to interview these nationalists in the middle of this war in like 2014. They ran into a nationalist from the Adar battalion. And they said, hey, what's up with this bullshit? And guess what his response was? This was his response. It's not Europe. It's a bit different. There is war here. The law has changed. Procedures have been simplified. If I choose to, I can have you arrested right now. Put a bag over your head. Lock you up in cellar for 30 days on suspicion of aiding separatists. Adar battalion commander. No name. He's a pussy. He didn't leave his name. So this is another thing that I want to say before I end this video. Ukraine, you're a bunch of pussies. They're not brave. There's nothing brave about Ukraine at all. There's nothing brave about the Kraken battalion driving around Odessa, rounding up old men and young boys, and then grabbing them and dragging them, shoving an AK in their hands and putting them out in the front lines to die. And then they hide in the back, far behind the artillery and the tanks, and with sniper rifles. And what are those sniper rifles for? It's to shoot the conscripts that they just kidnapped. Oh, you're trying to escape? You don't want to fight for Ukraine? Pop! Oh, you're a traitor. Have you seen that famous video with that guy going, Slava Ukraini, and getting shot? Has anyone considered that was not Russia? Have you considered I have no proof, but I know for a fact from other videos that I've seen on Telegram is that is the routine on how you handle deserters in the Ukraine armed forces. If you have a deserter, someone who doesn't want to fight, you shoot them. It used to be you jailed them, but about 8 months ago, Ukraine passed a new law. Look it up. You'll find it. They passed a new law giving them more authority, more power to punish deserters. And right after that law was passed, guess what we see? Slava Ukraine. If I was a gambling man, and I most certainly am, I will bet my bottom dollar that Ukraine shot that man for desertion. That guy who you all claim to be, oh, he's a hero. The Russians capture him, and on his the Russians captured him, and they were gonna, shoot him, and then, right before they shot him and executed him, he goes, Slava Ukraine. Now, do you know how dumb that is? How much that doesn't make sense? Russia is strategic. They're not dumb on that regard. They know that you can capture combatants and trade them for your own combatants and get them back. This is something that Ukraine didn't learn until about 9 months into the war. I don't know if you remember this, but in the beginning of, not the beginning of the war in 2014, but when Russia sent their troops in, Ukraine went crazy on these violent, remember the video of the Ukrainians shooting Russian soldiers in the knees? Remember them shooting them in the back of the head? And these things. Ukraine did these violent things until they finally realized, oh, whoa, okay, wait a minute. You mean we can trade the alive Russian soldiers for our alive Russian, Ukrainian soldiers? Yeah, dumbass. So they stopped killing Russian soldiers. They stopped shooting them in the knees and the backs and the heads and all this stuff. They did that in the first 6 months because they didn't understand how war works. These are nationalist battalions essentially running the army. Neo-Nazi, Azov, Adar, Kraken, Tornado. Just... They stopped doing that. They stopped killing Russian soldiers because they know that they can trade them for their own. But that doesn't mean that they've stopped killing. They will still kill traitors. They don't care if a Russian is a traitor to Russia. What the fuck does it matter? Whether this Russian soldier that you've captured has, desecrated the integrity of Ukraine or whatever. No, he's a Russian soldier. To them, they've woken up. They go, okay, he's worth this much money, and they will give us this much money for it, or this trade in person. They're not killing Russian soldiers anymore. They're not doing it because, of course, if the Russian soldier really pisses them off, then yeah, there's, duh. But the order is on the ground to capture them. It's the order on the ground from both sides. Russia, Surovikin has ordered his battalions to capture as many Ukrainians as possible. Why? Because they're using marketing chips to get back their own troops. The same thing that General Zaluzhny has ordered, and whoever, I don't know where Zaluzhny is, but anyways, Ukraine in the beginning didn't understand how this worked. They didn't understand that you could trade people so they were just shooting people in the legs and doing all kinds of nonsense and shooting them in the dick and, slitting their throats and, doing all kinds of ISIS beheadings and, just acting like crazy, wild terrorist animals, which they are, because Ukraine is a terrorist state. But now they know the game. They know they've caught on. They know, for us to get back that guy, we need 5 of those guys. In order for us to get back our Azov battalion commander, we need 20 of these Russian conscripts or whatever. And Russia uses conscripts too. But still. And Russia understands this because Russia is a smart military. They know that troops alive are much more valuable than troops dead. So let me ask you this. Why would Russia shoot some guy who's not armed, who has no weapons, who's smoking a cigarette, and says, Slava Ukraina? No. They wouldn't. That's gold. That's gold. If Russia had that guy captive, they could trade him. That was Ukraine. Do you understand? Like, get out of your psychotic, dumbass mind. That was Ukraine, 100%. That killed the Slava Ukraina cigarette guy. Slava Ukraina. No, that was definitely Ukraine that killed him. They killed him for being a deserter. And how do I know this? Well, I also have sources. But, I mean, I came to this conclusion on my own, and then I started asking around, and then I got a definitive answer from someone on the Ukrainian side, on Telegram, from the military. And I didn't even propose to them what I knew. I just said, hey, what happened to this guy? They said, oh, he was a deserter. Like, that's literally what I said. I didn't say, hey, I'm trying to, paint this picture or whatever. I said, hey, what happened to this guy? They said, oh, he's a deserter. And then he followed up like 5 minutes later, and he said, Russia didn't capture him. Like, he's some kind of combatant that, like, I don't know. Like, he was this far away that he could not be captive by Russians. Like, something like that. So, that said, is there Nazis in Ukraine? Yes, there's Nazis in Ukraine. There's Nazis in America? Yeah, there are Nazis in America. There's Nazis in Germany? Sure, whatever. Are Nazis in America, like, stabbing people to death, bombing people's houses, this and that, blah, 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 blah? No, they're not. That's not the problem. So, the problem is that the Nazis in Ukraine we're giving weapons to, and they are committing genocide against people. This is a problem. This is a major problem because we've been doing this for 9 years, and now we're giving them more artillery that they say that they're using to defend themselves, but it's not. They're not defending themselves. They're committing more genocide, more atrocities, and just the fact by itself that Ukraine banned the Russian language and banned opposition parties is enough that any sane democratic society would say that's fascism. But they went ahead and stole or pressured, I want to say it's Arestovich. I can't remember. No, it was I remember who it is. It's the richest man in Ukraine, by the way, or was. Who's the richest man in Ukraine?
Here's what I found from
Yes,
Wikipedia.
Rinat
Leonidovich Akhmedov, born on September 21st, 1966, is a Ukrainian billionaire and businessman. He is the founder and president of System Capital Management, SCM, and is the wealthiest man in Ukraine.
Yeah, he was. Okay, so this guy here used to run like 40% of the television stations. He was receiving pressure from Ukraine. They labeled him pro-Russian, by the way, at some point. God, I'm trying to think. How can I tell you people who don't understand anything about the situation? That guy is the guy Zelensky stole all the television stations from. Now, he says that he voluntarily gave them, he donated them to Ukraine. But no, come on, give me a break. That's like, let's just say China and, I don't know, Iran and Russia waged war on the U.S. and started bombing us. And then all of a sudden, Ted Turner decided, hey, we're going to give you, what does Ted Turner own? I don't know. Hey, we're going to give you Ted Turner, television. What stations does Ted Turner own? What television stations does Ted Turner own?
Here is what I found.
CNN. Wow. Yeah, so just imagine, like, China and Russia launching a war on the U.S., and Ted Turner going, oh, here you go, here's CNN, you can have it. And then the United States just running, giving it CNN to the United States. This is so stressful because, like, I'm trying to talk to people who don't understand this shit. But anyways, Ukraine is a terrorist state. It's worse than a Nazi state. They're the last thing from democratic. They're nowhere close to democratic. They have crazy laws where you can report your neighbor on this phone for what they consider to be, what's it say over here? Suspicion of aiding separatists. They have a iPhone app now called DIA, D-I-A-A, or whatever. Here, read this real quick. Members of the ATAR battalion have been involved in widespread abuses, abductions, detentions, ill treatment, theft, extortion, and possible executions. One more time. Abuses, abductions, detention, ill treatment, theft, extortion, possible executions. How about you read this? Why do you do that? God damn, I hate modern computers. I'm like trying to go. Come on, give it. Here, just read it to me.
Members of the AIDR Territorial Defense Battalion, operating in the North Luhansk region, have been involved in widespread abuses, including abductions, unlawful detention, ill treatment, theft, extortion, and possible executions. The AIDR Battalion is one of over 30 so-called volunteer battalions to have emerged in the wake of the conflict, which have been loosely integrated into Ukrainian security structures as they seek to retake separatist-held areas. In the course of a 2-week research mission to the region, an Amnesty International researcher interviewed dozens of victims and witnesses of the abuses, as well as local officials, army commanders and police officers in the area, and representatives of the AIDR Battalion. Our findings indicate that, while formally operating under the command of the Ukrainian Security Forces Combined Headquarters in the region, members of the
regions of the? What the fuck? This is a thing that, like, Mac is pissing me off, because you used to be able to, like, click and then it would just read everything, and now it
act with virtually no oversight or control, and local police are either unwilling or unable to address the abuses. Some of the abuses committed by members of the AIDR Battalion amount to war crimes, for which both the perpetrators and, possibly, the commanders would bear responsibility under national and international law. Part of the region where the AIDR Battalion currently operates, such as the conurbation of
AIDR Battalion,
Lysychansk and Rubizhny, and the town of Shchastia, was under the control of the separatist forces of the so-called Lugansk People's Republic, LNR, from mid-May to late July. During this time, separatist forces are reported to have committed a wide range of abuses against civilians, including abduction, theft, and murder. Amnesty International has documented such abuses by separatist armed groups in other regions. The AIDR Battalion played a significant...
I'm sorry, I just can't take it when he says the AIDR Battalion.
The town of Shchastia, 24 kilometers north of Luhansk City. It has lost many of its combatants in the fighting. Up to several dozen were killed in an ambush south of Shchastia after the announcement of the ceasefire on the 6th of September, 2014, while hailed by many
AIDR Nazi! Almost broke my screen there.
Reputations for brutal reprisals, robbery, beatings, and extortion. Amnesty International is calling on the Ukrainian authorities to bring EIDR and other volunteer battalions under effective lines of command and control, promptly investigate all allegations of abuses, and hold those responsible to account. The Ukrainian authorities cannot afford to replicate in the areas they retake the lawlessness and abuses that have prevailed in separatist-held areas. The failure to eliminate abuses and possible war crimes by volunteer battalions risks significantly aggravating tensions in the east of the country and undermining the proclaimed intentions of the new Ukrainian authorities to strengthen and uphold the rule of law more broadly. Abuses by the EIDR Battalion. Amnesty International documented dozens of cases of abuses allegedly committed by members of the EIDR Battalion in Novoaidar District, Starobilsk, Severodonetsk, Lysychansk, and Chastya between late June and late August. Typically, the fighters abducted local men, often businessmen or farmers, whom they accused of collaborating with the separatists and held in makeshift detention facilities before either releasing them or handing them over to the Security Service, SBU. In nearly all cases documented by Amnesty International, the victims were subjected to beatings at the moment of capture and or during interrogations, and either had to pay ransom for their release, or had possessions, including money, cars, telephones, and other valuables seized by the battalion members. Many of the witnesses and victims approached by Amnesty International were reluctant to share details of the incidents, fearing retaliation from EIDR battalion members. The names of victims and witnesses in illustrative cases detailed below have been changed. On 27th of August, EIDR battalion members abducted 4 minors from Novodrozhsk, a small town north of Lysychansk. One of the men, Andrei, not his real name, undergoing chemotherapy for lung cancer, told Amnesty International that he was outside his home at 3 p.m. on the 27th of August when a group of EIDR battalion fighters arrived in a minibus. 2 men with automatic weapons, in camouflage uniforms, approached him and ordered him to lie on the ground. He said, "They broke my jaw when I lay down as they shouted, 'Lie on the ground.' One of them kicked me. They wound tape over my eyes and tied my wrists, also with tape. They put me in a minibus with my neighbor. They drove for about 20 minutes, then brought me into some kind of a room. I could not see where or what it was as my eyes were covered with tape the whole time. They held me there for a day. They gave water, 1 biscuit, led me to the toilet when needed. There were about 15 other detainees there. We were forbidden to talk. I was interrogated twice. Where were you? What did you do? But not beaten anymore. But I heard others being beaten in the next rooms." Andrei said the captors drove him to a stadium in Severodonetsk and released him, still blindfolded. His wife said she went to the local police, who eventually managed to return to the family some of the possessions taken from him by his abductors, 2 passports and a telephone, but not his car documents, driving license, keys, wallet and bank cards. They did not open a criminal case into the incident. On the 28th of August, there was an attempt to debit money from
Slaven Nazi.
Amnesty International saw the text message sent automatically to Andrei's phone, informing him of the attempt. Family members of 2 of the other detained men, seeking information on 28 August at Severodonetsk police station about their whereabouts, told Amnesty International that police and soldiers in Lysychansk told them about a secret detention facility in Severodonetsk, but Severodonetsk police denied its existence, as indeed they have to Amnesty International. An acquaintance just released from the same place had recognized one of the 2 men there, and recounted that detainees were forced to recite the Ukrainian national anthem and beaten if they failed. On the 25th of August, at around 4 p.m., members of the EIDR battalion abducted Yevhen, a 31-year-old local businessman, near the TV tower outside of Starobilsk. Yevhen told Amnesty International that 3 men in masks, who arrived in a black VAZ car, approached him when he stopped for...
Can you imagine being a dumbass who buys this iPhone case, like thinking that you're But you're really supporting Nazis and murderers?
euros they found in it and accused him of being a separatist. He said, they pulled a mask over my head and drove me for about 20 minutes. They brought me to a place that seemed to be a garage and started interrogating me, demanding I confess to being a separatist. They interrogated me 3 times. Each time, they beat me.
Nazi! Motherfucking Nazi lover. Nazi!
And execute me. After a day had passed, they came in again and said I had been detained by the Eider Battalion, but was now in the hands of Alpha, a unit belonging to the Ukrainian Security Service, SBU, but I could see they were the same people. Yevhen said that eventually the captors asked him how much money he was willing to pay for his release.
Alright, I'm done with that. Have you heard this shit? Enough of this? Alright, here's the 8R Battalion today. Alright? Like, they're... Look, man, if this was a Donald Trump rally, if this was a MAGA rally, and one person in that rally was Heiling the Hitler, that would be evidence to throw Donald Trump in jail or execute him or whatever. But when one Ukrainian does it, but when hundreds of Ukrainians do it, there's no Nazis in Ukraine. But if it was one Trump supporter, again, I'm not a Trump supporter. I'm just using that as an example of the hypocrisy of how the left, who is a major disappointment, would like to think that, oh, we're so moral, but you're not. You're supporting Nazis. You're supporting arming Nazis to kill innocent Russians and innocent Ukrainians. The more weapons you pump into this, the longer the thing is going to last. The Russians are going to win decisively. They're going to win. There's no chance of Ukraine winning. Now you're thinking, okay, well, that doesn't mean we shouldn't give Ukraine weapons. So, I mean, they can teach Russia a lesson. You're not teaching them a lesson. They already know the game. This country's 1,200 years old. All you're doing is showing them how aggressive you are and how much of a threat you are. And you're going to break Ukraine more in the process. They're not going to respond. This isn't like George W. Bush, Donald Trump, people who respond to threats, aggression, and strength. These are methodical people, and they see how dumb your ass is. And they go, okay, well, you're much more of a threat now. You understand this? Like, where once Russia could have just taken Donetsk and Luhansk and be done with this, Ukraine's NATO and their influence on Ukraine and making them fight, forcing them to fight and not settle, has made it so Russia has to take Kherson and Dnipro and Bakhmut, Artyomovsk, and Odessa. And, of course, you're going to move the goalpost again and say, oh, well, it's taken Russia this long and blah, 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 whatever. Like, stop thinking like that. You're crazy. You're crazy. Stop thinking like that. Stop thinking the way you're thinking. You're thinking in terms that would best suit your narrative. Start thinking in the worst possible way that would go against your narrative. Don't you know how to debunk your own self? Like, I know how to do this. I do this stuff because my job relies upon it. I have to go through, look at all this shit, all these electronics and stuff. I have to make sure that I'm absolutely right when I'm doing these calculations on when it comes down to volts and watts and, and calculations. I have to understand the exact numbers. So I don't just deny it and go, no, I don't like that. That's what you people do, man. You don't want to hear shit that you don't like, man. You ignore shit like this.
A high-ranking military official in the area informed Amnesty
International
that
you're
after
still going?
receiving his reports, the Ministry of Defense sent 2 commissions.
That's a long-ass article. Wow, it's still going. Anyways. An error occurred. try back later. Why does it say try back later? Why can't I just try back now? There. Yeah, exactly, dumbass. I can try back now. I can see myself here. Why? Why try back later? Why can't I try now? Jesus Christ. No, we're not brainwashing our... God damn it. It's this shit right here. Go away. It's that stuff, man. It's stupid ads. These people want to spam me with ads. Well, I don't know what to tell you, except for there's Nazis in Ukraine. There's worse than Nazis in Ukraine. Ukraine is a terrorist state. I don't like to lose. I like to win. You're not going to beat me. You're not going to beat me at anything.
Україна мати, ми за Україну будем воювати, батько наш Бандера, Україна мати, ми за Україну будем воювати.
Poor kids, they've been brainwashed by scumbags, by Nazis. By Nazis and scumbags. Look at that lady. Look at this lady. She's like, stopped. She's like, oh, yeah, well, I can't, like, salute some Nazis right now. So, yeah, well, whatever. Everyone salutes Nazis in Ukraine. Україна, мать! Nazi scumbag piece of shit. 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 Deplorable Nazi scumbag worthless piece of shit. Nazi scumbag piece of shit. Deplorable worthless terrorist piece of shit terrorist scumbag worthless piece of shit. Nazi. I get it, you're mad that the Russian Soviet Union 60 years ago did not give you bread. Guess what? If anyone did any research of the so-called Holodomor, like you would understand what happened. Nazi Germany invaded Russia. They didn't have enough food and rations to give to their main city, Leningrad, which was the engine of their whole everything. Like, Leningrad is where the tanks were made. The way the Soviet Union worked is that they had rations for... In wartime, they had a full ration for people working on tanks and missiles and whatnot. And then they had a half ration for anyone, regular people who had a job, whether you be a grocery store worker or pizza man or whatever the fuck. Then they had a quarter of a ration to people who did not have a job. If you were homeless or whatever, whatever it is, it's 2,000 calorie diet, was given to the people making tanks. 1,000 calorie diet was given to anybody with a job. 500 calorie diet was given to just regular people. Hitler invaded, cut off supply lines so food could not get through. And in desperation, Stalin had to cut. I'm not a Stalin fan. I'm just telling you what happened. Stalin had to cut rations. So the first thing that they did was cut rations for their most prized, beloved, most important people were the people working on tanks and missiles and whatnot. They had to cut their rations in half. So they got, 1,000 calorie diet a day. Other people working in just having regular jobs got 500 calories a day. And then if you weren't employed, guess what? You got nothing. You got nothing. And then it got worse after that. Just you got to understand history. It got worse after that. Then their most, like I said, their most beloved, most coveted, most important people of the entire, World War II was their workers who built military equipment and tanks and whatnot. They had to cut their rations to a quarter. And then anyone who had a job, just any regular job, got an eighth, quarter, 1/4, got an eighth of a ration. And anyone who didn't have a job, guess what? You starved, basically. They were hurting. They almost lost. Soviet Union almost lost on several occasions. They didn't purposely starve the Ukrainians. That's fake fiction. It's nonsense. It's historic revisionism. It's what the Ukrainians want to focus on. And the fact of the matter is that happened 60 years ago. That has nothing to do with what we're doing today, except for, unfortunately, it has everything to do with what is going on today, because that is what the Ukrainian Nazis, neo-Nazis are focusing on. They're psychotics. They're psychotic people who believe that they're on a mission, a holy mission, to attain a Ukrainian state, and that they have inherited this fight. This is just to the Azov Battalion, Adar Battalion, Kraken, Tornado, blah, blah, blah. This is just a continuation of World War II. It hasn't ended yet. It's just that this is a continuation to them. That they're still fighting the same fight to attain a Ukrainian state, an ethnically cleansed Ukrainian state, and that they are able, and they are not just able, that they're encouraged to commit the most horrific atrocities on people in the name of creating a Ukrainian state. Anyways, and just that there, by itself, without Zelensky's banning of opposition parties and banning of Russian language, that makes Ukraine a terrorist state. And so congratulations, Nazis. You've effectively infiltrated Ukraine. Hats off to you, Nazis. Like, you did it, man. You've infiltrated Ukraine. So you won. But this is as far as it goes. You've infiltrated Ukraine. You've infiltrated, Western media, and this is as far as your bullshit goes. It stops here because people understand what you're doing. You're not going to draw the United States into a war to fight your war, which is your ultimate goal. We know your ultimate goal, and that's to get NATO to fight your war for you and defeat Russia so you can divide that up with NATO, and it's not going to happen. Ukraine is a terrorist state. A terrorist state. And again, congratulations to you because you've got the EU to vote on making Russia a terrorist state. You've got them to, flip the scripts. You've congratulations for altering reality and making things like you've duped. This is a sleight of hand, and you've succeeded so far. And well, you haven't succeeded that far, but you've succeeded in the narrative, in the illusion. But it's all coming down. It's all collapsing now because people are figuring it out. That it's there. It's all there on the internet. Ukraine is a terrorist state, and nobody supports your Nazis. Nazis don't have any place